Hello and welcome to the Paris Fintech Forum Communities Programme. I'm Elliot Gotkin, I'm a journalist and with Laurent Nisri, co-host of this exclusive video interview series produced with the support of Solaris Bank, Rise and BPI France. Now, unless you've been living under a rock for the past 18 months or so, you may have noticed that payment-related fintechs had a pretty good pandemic. India-focused PayU is no exception. The company's CEO is Laurent Le Moal, who joins me now. Great to see you again, Laurent.
Hello. Hi. Great to see you, Elliot, again.
And tell us more about PayU.
Yes. So PayU. Look, the best way to describe it is first, to describe PayU as a brand for merchants around the world who want to access, alternative payment methods from all the high growth markets. So fundamentally, what we do is a payment gateway, connecting merchants across, more than 30 countries. And when I talk about merchants, about, small domestic merchants, but also very big brands like Facebook, Netflix, etc. And they come to us basically because they realize that accepting card payments, Visa, MasterCard is not enough. In our markets, 2 out of 3 transactions are not done with a card. They are done with local payment methods. So that's what we provide. That's the value prop. The second thing is that PayU does is we believe that actually digital payments is a problem almost solved, right, in all of our markets. But the biggest problem to solve is what we call affordability, right? Mainly credit, giving access to credit. And this is what we've been doing, for the past few years, building a big credit business. And the third thing we do is invest directly in all the different segments of fintech. We see payments and credit as our core business, but fintech is broader, right? Wealth management, digital banking, right? Stockbroking. And in all of these segments, we invest directly. And we do that because we are part of a group called Prosus, which is one of the big technology investors in the world, which is actually, for some of the people watching us, just go and check the stock right now. The biggest technology company in Europe, listed in Amsterdam on the Euronext, with a market cap, 120 billion, depends on the day, right? The point is, we've deployed more than $1 billion, 1.5 billion actually, of investments in fintech over the past 4 years. And we've just announced very recently, actually 3 weeks ago, a major acquisition of $4.7 billion in India.
Right, this is BillDesk, right? I was going to come on to that and ask you what the rationale was behind that deal.
Exactly. So payments, financial services around credit, fintech investments. These are the 3 things we do. So there is never a boring day, right, at PayU. PayU, by the way, is the brand, okay? But we have other brands. Now, your question, what's the rationale to invest 4.7 billion, to do an acquisition in India with BillDesk? The rationale is very easy. India is the largest and fastest growing market for fintech outside of China, period. If you look at the amount of money being invested in India, it's staggering and it's accelerating, right? So I know, to my fellow French citizens, there's a lot of discussion about the French tech. That's fantastic, great. Look, the reality is just, from the beginning of this year, we've had 26 new unicorns in India. Well, it's that crazy. So very, very dynamic market. Second thing is extremely dynamic in terms of digital payments. Look, COVID has certainly accelerated digital payments, but this is true around the world, okay? But the reality in India is you have also an extremely active regulator and government pushing the digital agenda. And if you think of it, platforms like UPI, which is basically, kind of, bank payments, platform, just took, a couple of years to grow from 0 to hundreds of billions of volumes, right? So So that's really phenomenal. And the third thing is India, like the other markets, when it comes to payments, you need scale. Okay? And what you've seen over the past, I would say 2 or 3 years, is a lot of consolidation in the US, in Europe, between US and European companies. And what we are doing here is we are bringing this together in India, right? And we are the actor of this. So basically, what we are building here is a national champion. It's a $10 billion company, and it's actually the number 7 payments company in the world in terms of volumes. I would argue that maybe 3 years from now, there will maybe only one European company left. All the rest will be US, it will be India and China.
Which one's going to be left in Europe?
I don't know. Pick your stock.
Okay, just you mentioned Process, which is I think it belongs to Naspers, the kind of big South African company conglomerate. How does that help you being part of that? Does it help you think more long term? Does it enable you to be more ambitious? Does it kind of take the pressure off because you know that they're not going to be asking you for your profits after like the last 6 months or last quarter or whatever, because you can actually just plan to build a big business?
That's an interesting question, because it's almost all of the above, right? Everything you've said. Look, for people not familiar with Naspers is a 100-year-old company, right? Naspers means newspapers in Afrikaans, okay? So they've gone through a very long history of reinventing themselves, from newspapers to TV business, right? From TV business to internet business, and also literally stroke of genius and luck. 15 years ago, about 15 years ago, going to China and investing in a small company called Tencent. That $15 million became a $150 billion stake. It happened once in a life, if not more. Based on that, Naspers basically has always had the same view that first, let's focus, on really high growth markets. China, India, Southeast Asia, and for that matter, Africa, Latam, etc. Everything that we're doing now for payments. The second thing is, if you want to create value in these markets, yes, there's an element of risk, but you do need to really think long term, right? And these are fundamentally the discussions that we're having with the board. I'll give you an example. We bought a company almost 3 years ago in Turkey called Iyzico. Fantastic team, fantastic company. It was right in the middle of the biggest crisis, in Turkey, with the central bank changing, the interest rates, going through the roof, etc. At the end of the day, we still did, the acquisition just because on a 10-year basis, we thought this is the market where we want to be. Right? So you might have some fluctuation right now in your currency, etc. But does it fundamentally change your view on the market 10 years from now? So long term, certainly. Capital, access to capital. We are blessed. We can do, $100 million ticket for growth. I can do 5 million tickets, for seed stage in crypto. And we can do $4.7 billion acquisition. So the range, right, of investments we can make is unique.
Okay, Laurent, and we could talk forever about Process and about Naspers and all other things, but I've got quite a few other questions that I want to get through to you, especially asking you about yourself. I mean, you're not a founder of PayU, but you have founded startups in the past, including one of Southern Europe's first online recruitment sites. Any urge to be a founder again, or just one or too many grey hairs for you to kind of go down that route again?
Yes, I set up my own company years ago in the first wave of internet, the boom, the bust, and, raising money, spending money, shutting down offices after the big, 2001 crisis. Best memories of my life. The reality here is the team that we have assembled at PayU is entrepreneurial, right? It's important to think like an entrepreneur, and you don't have to be a founder to think like an entrepreneur. The people I have in my team are responsible completely in an autonomous way of their region and their lines of business, and I want them to think as an entrepreneur. I see myself more about We can't do everything. What are the priorities? Capital allocation, and making sure that while they stay focused, we always look at what's coming, for the next 3 years, and that we are always ahead of the game. I need entrepreneurs for that. The second thing is, I think a big part of our model is through acquisition and investments to actually bring founders on board and give them the incentive to stay and continue to build their business with a lot of freedom. To your question, do you see myself as a founder? Am I too old for that? Absolutely not. That's probably the next step. Absolutely. Hey, look, at the end of the day, if you're an entrepreneur, there's never been such a good time right now, right? And we can talk about crypto. I see so many opportunities like I've never seen before. So
Let's
yes,
not go down. Let's not go
stay
down that
tuned.
rabbit hole just yet, because I've actually got to take a very quick break, Laurent. After which we're going to continue our conversation with PayU CEO Laurent Le Moal. Welcome back, and don't forget, if you're not already a full member of our community, everything you need to join can be found at www.parisfintechforum.com. Okay, Laurent, so I've got a few more questions for you. Let's talk about, fintech and payments in general a little bit more, and also in India. Your focus at PayU, as we've discussed, is the Indian market. What advice would you give for other fintechs, obviously not competitors, but other fintechs looking to make a splash in India? Presumably there's enormous opportunity, but also a great many challenges.
Yes, India is a big part of our business, but it's only 50% of our business, right? Central Europe, Latam, Africa, I see opportunities everywhere. It's like, look, I think when it comes to payments, again, as I said, you do need scale and efficiencies, right? So it's really becoming a big boys business. So I would encourage, founders thinking about this, like, how are you going to get to scale? Versus, if you don't have a clear path for that, do you have a clear value prop, for a certain vertical, right? Where you can actually, have a true differentiation. But I think if you look at buy now, pay later, for instance, right now, and we were the first company to launch it in India, I think what it means is also the pure transaction business, etc. It is not enough for sure. And buy now, pay later type of solutions are becoming table stake, for any company. So I would encourage people really to think about this, like the transformation of payments really is happening, and you do need to completely reconsider, what is the value prop for your merchants and consumers. The second thing is, for people, who are considering entering markets like India because it's big, because it's fast growing, etc., well, reconsider. That's it. If you're not an Indian company in India, what do you think you're going to bring? What do you think you're going to bring? And I say that to my fellow CEOs of companies who think they just need to open an office in Bangalore and Mumbai with you guys. Reconsider. This is a market that requires real, customer insights to really localize the value prop, that's for sure, but also to really build what is an Indian company, all right? From data privacy to the way you interact with the regulator, etc. It's not easy. That's why I don't see many big US companies actually making any progress in India. In fact, I see some of them leaving India. It's not that easy.
Right.
This would be the same for Southeast Asia.
Okay. And you mentioned, I'm glad you mentioned buy now, pay later, because I was just going to ask you about that, because in the US and Europe, fintechs are falling over themselves to get into that market. But obviously there are concerns about affordability, that regulators might step in to kind of slow things down. What's your take? Is this going to all end in tears, that people are just going to be spending and then one day they're just going to not be able to pay, and then, all the regulators are going to step in, and there'll be, like other mis-selling scandals we've seen in the past, whether it's payday loans or, payment protection?
Right. No, I think, yeah, we always see this coming in cycle, etc. First, it's a credit business. That's very different from a pure payments. The second thing is you need to ask yourself, like, are you just, trying to do just a clever, consumer interface? Or are you actually building, a full stack credit business? Full stack means you have the credit risk, you have the balance sheet, you can manage, a portfolio of loans, and actually you make money by not just by buy now pay later, but by upselling, to personal loans. So you need to have this, and I think actually very few players have this full strategy. I think there's also a lot of noise of everybody trying, to enter the fray, and offer some sort of BNPL, which is just a kind of fraction payments, which has been around for many years. So the point is, underlying this, you really see also a shift from merchants and consumers to this type of transaction, right? It's the ease of the transaction, is decoupling the transaction itself from the payment of this, right? And fundamentally, it's being used as a marketing tool also for the merchants. I mean, honestly, the payments page, the checkout page was really always there, always boring, always, at best something you could get out, in 2 clicks, at worst a real roadblock. Now suddenly you've got a buy now, pay later, you can use this for marketing, incremental sales, etc. That one is truly a big shift because when it's available, we see the consumer adoption. Now, on the back of it, it's a credit business, you need to be responsible. As a consumer, as a provider of credit, I don't think some companies, have understood that fully, but the reality is I see, buy now, pay later and payments itself truly complementary, and this will become, a table stake.
Okay, well, we've amazingly run out of time already, so I really just want to thank you, Laurent Le Moal, CEO of PayU, for taking the time to speak to me today.
Thank you guys, bye-bye.
And I'll be back again next week with another big name from the world of finance and technology. We do hope you'll all be able to join us again then. In the meantime, you can keep up to date with all the exclusive interviews and content from the Paris Fintech Forum Communities Programme via www.parisfintechforum.com. Hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.